Rally Tal fam, good evening and welcome to the show. For those of you that are a little curious as to why I don't have a shirt on, I made the cardinal sin of gambling on the Cowboys last week. Don't ever do that. Number one, that's a cardinal rule. As stated, we were talking about it. Corey had mentioned, I'm going to take the Cardinals as a joke. And I was like, if the Cardinals beat the Cowboys, I will do the rest of the podcast season with my shirt off. And what happened on Sunday, folks? Cardinals beat the Cowboys. So here we are. This is what it is. I'm a man of my word. And I will let the boys. Arlo is not even looking at me right now, which that's fine. I get it.
He's actually, it's quite the contrary. He's actually barking at the screen. He's like, whoa.
There is an out here. It is not anything that I could explain. I will let Corey do the honors there. Mr. James.
So we've decided to allow Bobby to get out of this, but it's going to take Rally Tell Sports family to join together and do what we do best, and that's raise a little money for charity. Yep. So we're setting a minimum of $200. I'm getting some echo on one of your guys'. Yeah, there we go, Toddy. Appreciate you. We are setting a minimum of $200. If we raise $200 for charity, Bobby, I'll let you decide which charity it's going to be. If we raise $200, Bobby can put his shirt back on this season.
I know one that's close to all the hearts here at Rally Tal, and that's Parkinson's. So we'll choose Parkinson's for this one.
There you go. Parkinson's Foundation, charity we are familiar with and have already donated to $200. If we can raise $200, either give it to us or send us a screenshot of your donation starting today, September 27th, 2023 and onward. And once we eclipse $200, Bobby can put his shirt back on. That said, you had mentioned curious. People are curious why. I'm curious, but it's a little bi-curious right now because of that shirt off, Bobby. You're looking good, buddy. You're looking good. What are you sipping on?
We've been working hard. It's a little vodka.
Nice. Vodka. Just straight vodka on the rocks?
For the most part. I didn't have any soda, so I had to use a Diet Mountain Dew. But
oh, nice.
It's actually pretty good.
That's what Dew was created for. Dew is the original mixer to the elixir. That was
typically a whiskey,
nice,
right?
It's a nice little cut on it. So, like I said, it's not a ton, but it's good.
It's delicious.
But that being said, Chad, regardless of the shirt off, we are on our regular scheduled programming. Let's go ahead and recap week 3. Do you gentlemen have any idea who had the best week last week?
I'm gonna just guess by your tone. It was you.
No, it was not.
Was it me?
It was you.
Hey, I'm back, baby.
So Corey came in at 13-3 last week, leading the pack. Aaron was consistent, 12-4. Todd and I came in at 11-5. So Todd's pick, his homer pick, actually saved him from being in the cellar. Bengals taking it over the Rams 19-16 in Monday Night Football.
That's right.
A lot of crazy games last week. Outside of Cowboys and Texans, Corey, what was your biggest shock last week?
Outside of Cowboys and Texans, I would say the Ravens.
I would say Dolphins Broncos. That was
shocking.
That game. I mean, it was shocking, but that's an obvious one.
I would say the Ravens. At this point, we shouldn't be shocked by Gardner Minshew coming through and making an offense effective. But to say that the Colts weren't effective in weeks 1 or 2 would be silly with Anthony Richardson. They hung with the Jaguars in week 1, obviously beating the Texans in week 2. Anthony Richardson being in concussion protocol. You get Gardner Minshew out there. but I thought the Ravens were playing a brand of football that was top tier in the NFL, and I thought that they would kind of just walk through that and beat them. Maybe they thought that too. And if you guys haven't paid attention to the NFL at all, you know that that's going to usually result in a loss if you don't come in ready to play. So I think that's probably what happened, but that was very surprising to me. Actually, the only leg of a 4-leg parlay that I didn't hit was Ravens money line over the Colts. So thanks a lot, Lamar, John, and the rest of that trash hole city of Baltimore. Go fuck yourselves. Thank you.
Well, I'll tell you one team I can tell to fuck off is the Jacksonville Jaguars. They screwed me on about 3 different parlays that I had because I figured the Jags would have zero problem against CJ Stroud and the Texans, and lo and behold, the Texans were just a better football team that entire 60 minutes.
Yeah, CJ Stroud quietly having a strong
CJ
start.
Stroud looked incredible.
Yeah.
Early odds on favorite for rookie of the year.
Yeah,
other than Bijan Robinson.
100%.
Bijan Robinson, obviously, but
I think he overtook Bijan.
He did. Vegas odds now say that CJ Stroud is the favorite to win the.
Yeah, no question. I mean, and the confidence the man has to come out and say, like, you shouldn't, like this is the NFL. Like, anybody can come out and win any week, and he's absolutely right. And we saw that this week. You know, we saw that with the Colts over the Ravens, saw it with the Texans over the Jags. And go ahead, Corey.
Just a quick question. Do you guys remember which rookie quarterback I said I thought was going to be the best coming into the season?
Definitely Anthony Richardson.
CJ Stroud. Just saying.
No, you're right. You're right. And through 3 weeks.
Through 3 weeks, I look good.
Through 3 weeks, you look great.
Let's see how we look after 17.
Let's pump the
Yeah.
brakes there a little bit. But right now, Corey, yes, you're correct.
Hey, I'll take it where I can get it. Give me all my roses.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I'm trying to think anything else that really shocked me I mean, Packers Saints was kind of how we all called it. Like, I was the only one that lost that game last week. The rest of you took the Packers. Which it was a close game. It literally came down to the last seconds. So.
It was 17-0 with 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter.
Carr in the game. Yeah.
I literally thought that game was over, and then I had it in the bag, and you guys were fucked. And then Packers just decided to come back. Derek Carr also got injured. I think they played a little bit into it, but not a ton.
Oh, yeah. Jameis Winston's bad. He can't. That dude can't drive to save his
life. If Derek Carr was in that game, the Packers lose that handily. But so that was kind of a tough break for me. Corey, you had a great pick with the Chargers over the Vikings last week. You were the only one that took the Chargers. The rest of us took the Vikings. Todd took the Falcons last week, although the Lions, it wasn't exactly a blowout, but Falcons didn't really ever get close.
They were never in the game. That Lions defense was
stellar.
Profound against the
Bijan didn't get anything going last week,
no,
which was crazy. And then obviously, guys, we have to talk about the Miami Dolphins. Like, are arguably one of the best offenses in football. Are they the best offense in football?
I mean, right now it's hard to argue otherwise because they've scored more points. They scored more points on Sunday than 18 NFL teams have scored through 3 weeks combined.
Yep.
So it's hard to argue that they aren't the best offense in football. The only caveat that I will add to that is this. Well, not that it's we saw this last year, guys. Like the first 4 weeks of the season, the Dolphins came out with their fucking heads on fire and absolutely tore apart people. Are like, holy shit, the Dolphins are really, really good. They walk into Cincinnati on a Thursday night for week 5 and hit a buzzsaw. But so let's just, again, everybody wants to sing the praises of Mike McDaniel. It's really good when things are good. It's really, really good when things are good. And it's easy to praise a coach when things are going good. How are they handling things when things get a little bit rough? They have a tough test this week against Buffalo in Buffalo. We'll get to that later, but it's hard not to say that the Dolphins aren't one of the best teams in the league right now, just based on the small sample size that we have.
Yeah, absolutely. Last thing I want to touch on before we move on. Corey, so we'll just go through the standings. Also, for those of you just getting in here, I lost the bet. Cowboys lost to the Cardinals, so there's that. So overall standings, we have let me get to week 4. We have Aaron sitting at the top at 32-16. Corey is at 31-17. I am at 30-18. And Todd is gaining some ground here at 27-21. So still, I mean, between the top,
you're not 500 anymore, baby.
That's right.
So it's only a 5-game split. Todd had a nice week last week. Took some games that none of us did and gained some ground. So without further ado, let's get started with tomorrow night's game. Divisional game should be a very, very good one to watch. We've got the Detroit Lions headed to Lambeau Field to take on Jordan Love and the Packers. Let's start with Aaron's pick here. Corey, I know that you've got Aaron's pick here. I don't know if he has any notes with it, but I'd love to hear him.
No notes. Aaron is headed up to Maine, up to the northeast United States this weekend, flying into Boston, spending a little time up there. He's going to Salem, where they witch it up during spooky season.
I was wondering why you said that, and then now
yeah,
it makes sense.
Yeah, he's going to have a blast. It's going to be amazing. It's soup season, and he's going to northeastern United States. He's going to have so much lobster bisque. It's going to be fantastic. So enjoy the vacation, Aaron. Have fun, man. Aaron, no notes accompanying here, as I'm sure he's very busy packing and prepping and things like that. But he is taking the Packers over the Lions at
Packers
home.
At home.
Yes.
All right. Well, Corey, I'll go ahead and pass it to you, man. What you got?
Yeah, so I'll start with the home team here and just talk a little bit about them. I took the Packers in what I thought was going to be a close game, and it turned out to be a close game against the Saints. However, everything I saw up to the point until Derek Carr got hurt was much less than impressive. That Saints offense, that Saints team in general, I don't think is really anywhere near the caliber of what they're going to be facing on Thursday night against the Detroit Lions. Detroit, however, a team that, a huge emotional victory to open the season against the Chiefs on the road. They go home, a tough fought game against what is proving to be one of the best teams in the NFC in Seattle. Overtime loss to the Seahawks. And then moving on, they took care of business of a team that they should have taken care of business against. It was from the opening whistle, the Lions were all over the Falcons. They did exactly what they had to do and took this thing down, and they looked good doing so. So that said, the Lions are a little bit banged up. David Montgomery questionable going into tomorrow. I'm sorry, I'm blanking on left tackle. It's not Llewellyn. I don't know why it's Decker. I can't remember. Yeah, they're questionable coming into tomorrow as well. But at this point, I think the pedigree of the Lions is a little bit higher than that of the Packers. It's going to be a tough test going into primetime in Lambeau, but it's not the middle of December. So I think the Lions get out of here with a win, as Vegas is also indicating.
Todd.
Yeah, so we still have a questionable Aaron Jones, a questionable Christian Watson, no David Bakhtiari, no Elton Jenkins. So the left side of the offensive line is out again for Green Bay. And I think we saw what Detroit is capable of in taking advantage of some weaknesses in an offensive line and creating pressure. I mean, I think Aiden Hutchinson had one of the better defensive performances, and his NFC Defensive Player of the Week agrees with me. But yeah, I'm taking the Lions here too. This is Jordan Love's first primetime game, if I'm not mistaken. I don't believe the Lions have spent, or the Packers have spent any time in primetime yet. That's a big stage for a guy that hasn't really had to, take the mic and do the solo yet. And I think he's going to struggle against this Lions defense. So I'm taking the Lions here, and I'm looking for I'm looking for Sam Laporta to come back and have another big week, and people are going to start talking about how serious of a caliber of a talent he is. As a tight end.
Thank you for bringing up Sam Laporta.
Yeah, man.
I have been literally talking about this guy since fantasy football drafts. I think this kid is amazing. I think he's going to be a top 5 tight end by the end of this year. He's one of the best talents at that position. He's tall. He's long. He's a great run blocker. He's a great pass blocker. He's got phenomenal hands. And he runs great routes. Like, we could be seeing like a Travis Kelce 2.0 with Sam Laporta.
I like a George Kittle comparison for Laporta there. Just purely as the coming out of the same tight end factory.
Yeah, I'll take that.
I like Laporta's. What I like about him that varies from putting him into the S tier of Travis Kelce is that he's the slowest of the batch. If you're comparing him to the top tier of the tight ends, that was Laporte's kind of only drawback coming out of college was that his first couple steps are slow. But I think what he makes up for with maybe we'll call lack of velocity, he makes up for in just pure power. And,
for sure.
For an offense like the Lions, it's pertinent. I mean, you lose TJ Hawkinson, you think that you're going to have to go to Brock Wright this year, and things kind of pointed that way going into week 1. And then Sam Laporta has been consistently good, and week 3 just so happened to be his breakout week.
Yeah. I think he's got one of the like you and I talked about prior to the draft, Todd. I think he's one of the best route runners out of that tight end class. Yeah. We really wanted him with the Bengals. Obviously, the Lions took him when they needed to and filled that void immediately. One of my favorite late round fantasy drafts so far. Looking forward to plugging him in and hopefully carrying me through the playoffs there.
I had him in the lineup last week, and he helped carry me to a dub. So loved it.
And Jared Goff, guys, can we got to talk about Jared Goff?
We got to give Jared Goff his flowers, man.
8-2 in his last 10 starts. I think it's something like 27 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. The guy's played phenomenal, and hats off to Dan Campbell and that offensive scheme there in Detroit, getting the most out of him.
Yeah, no, I think this is a guy that a lot of people wrote off, especially getting traded to Detroit from LA, where he struggled, for the most part. And now he's in a thriving offense with a lot of young talent, and he's playing some really, really good football. And, Jared Goff is not a mediocre quarterback at this point. Jared Goff is moving into the top tier of quarterbacks, in my opinion. He's accurate. He makes great decisions. And he puts up a lot of fucking points.
Yeah.
He's been at the helm of a very, very good offense for the last 2 years. And obviously the 27 touchdowns and 2 picks over the last, 10 games? That's a pretty damn good stat. So, Josh, I see you're in here and you're in the chat. Please let us know your picks. Love to get you involved in this and see what you got. So, whoever put that in there, if the Cards beat the Cowboys, I'll do this podcast with my shirt off. Corey, I figured that was you. Thank you for putting my quote in there as to the reason why I have my shirt off. So, chat, that is the reason why I am shirtless. Although sometimes it looks like I have a shirt on because of the difference in the tan line. I promise you that it's just a golf tan. So, but for my pick, I've got the Lions this week. I love Jahmyr Gibbs. I love Jared Goff. And I love the Lions defense. I think I have Jordan Love in my fantasy league, so I hope Jordan Love has a great week. But it wasn't my first choice. I had Aaron Rodgers, and he went down, so I had to pick up somebody, and he was on the waiver wire. But the Lions. I just think the Lions are the better football team here. I still think the Lions win the NFC North. That was my pick at the beginning of the season. I still stand strong on that belief. The Lions have a great football team, and I'm taking them here on Thursday night tomorrow. So, all right, well, let's move on. Our first game over in London. Should we do this one with an accent? Oh, Tez coming in with his pick. Tez has the Lions. All right, see, so now we're getting deep here. So I've got 7 lines here now. So Josh, we need your pick. So please let us know. All right, we got our first London game. We've got the Falcons, I guess, at Jacksonville. I mean, Jacksonville is basically the London Jaguars at this point.
Back weeks playing in England for the Jags.
So not only is this a game in London, this is a game on ESPN Plus that will not just be in regular vision. This will be in animated vision, taking place not only in London at, I believe, Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, but also in Andy's bedroom. This will be a Toy Story animated game where the characters of Toy Story will be watching. The game will be played simultaneously it'll be like animated simultaneously as it's happening in real life. So I'm firing this thing up on ESPN Plus for the kids on Sunday morning and letting this thing run for sure.
for Aaron, when he listens to this later, I just want him to howl in the car by himself because he's a lone wolf on that first game.
He is alone. Yeah.
So Aaron, take your due diligence, take your time and give us a good howl in the car and send us a Snapchat of it. All right.
Aaron's pick. Todd, he's taking the Jags, by the way.
Aaron's got the Jacksonville Jaguars. Yeah. Todd, I'm gonna bounce it over to you. Who you got?
Yeah, a couple bad weeks in a row for the Jaguars offense here, Phil.
Yes.
Trevor Lawrence. I think a lot of fantasy owners of Trevor Lawrence right now are throwing a ton of red flags, concerned about just his overall performance. I'm looking right now. He's 73 for $113, 3 tutties, 2 interceptions, a little bit over 700 yards. I think people are concerned about what he is, but gentlemen, I don't know if you remember, but last year he started eerily similar to this, and then around weeks 5 and 6, he picked up and started getting hot there. I watched this Falcons offense be as one-dimensional as it can be against the Lions, and when they had to throw the ball, it's not equipped to do so. Drake London had a decent enough game, basically getting all of the receptions from what Desmond Ridder was throwing. But I think the Jags bounce back here. There's not really any major injuries for Jacksonville. Obviously, this is quite a transition, playing 5 hours ahead of what you're acclimated to, but they do this every year. I think they're arguably the most comfortable franchise with doing these European games, and I think Jacksonville does fine though. It's going to be Jags, and I'm simpatico with Corey. I'm excited to put Declan in front of the TV and see how he reacts to, Toy Story also watching the game with him. Should be entertaining. There will be
Bruce. What up, baby?
Pancakes on my coffee table as I watch the game, which I don't know if there's anything better than breakfast food and football.
No, especially the game that you don't give a fuck about. You know what I mean? Like I don't care about the Jags or the Falcons
and football. Like,
yeah,
I'm all about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bruce,
absolutely.
If you didn't get the memo, or if you didn't catch the exact moment last week when we were talking about the Cowboys Texans,
put the comment up. Put the comment up. The quote up on the screen here, Bob.
I will.
Yeah. In it. Put it in front.
Sorry, wrong one. Hold on. There we go. If the Cardinals beat the Cowboys, I will do this podcast with my shirt off for the rest of the season. That is an exact quote that I said last week when we were talking about this game, because the Cowboys defense, and we'll talk about it when we get to the Cowboys, but I have a couple things I would like to discuss.
Bruce's comment.
No, I'm not doing that. This isn't OnlyFans, bro.
For those of you listening on Spotify,
that's a $6 a month fee.
Yeah.
For those of you listening on Spotify, Bruce, one of our longest day one listeners and viewers, coming in with a comment. Where are the nips? Beautifully done. Let's get to.
Thanks, Liz. Appreciate it.
There's a comment coming in here about Desmond, and I want to get to that.
So British Thompson coming in. Ridder poised to become a decent backup. That's about it.
So I watched the Lions game last week, and I watched the Falcons, and honestly, I think Desmond Ridder did an okay job. I think honestly that the Falcons offense is so inept, and this wide receiver core lacks most ability to get any kind of separation. Like, I don't think the Lions secondary is that good. I think it's good, but I don't think it's that good to where like the wide receiver core can get zero separation at all. Maybe it's the route tree or lack thereof that they have, but it seemed almost every single throw was defense draped all over, all of these guys for the Falcons. The only opportunities for any kind of easy kind of pitch and catch was over the middle to Kyle Pitts. And early in the first half, they started getting the Kyle Pitts show going. They started getting the Johnny Smith show going. It's clear that Desmond Ridder, most of the availability for his throws are going to be over the middle to a tight end, at least in this offensive scheme. If I'm the Falcons, I'm going to start taking a page out of what the Bengals did on Monday night. Start throwing Drake London into the slot to get some of those abnormal matchups. Start doing bunch formations with Kyle Pitts and Drake London and maybe even Bijan all stacked up on the one side there. So it's I think it is a little bit of Desmond because let's remember, technically speaking, in terms of games played, Desmond is technically in his his rookie season.
This is like game 7 or 8 for him.
Right. So let's keep that in mind. That said, he's had 2 off seasons under Arthur Smith, so he knows the offense. I'm not trying to make excuses. All that I'm saying is that it doesn't look like there were any, like most of the throws that he's making are down the sideline and, variably over the wide receiver's head. So just we'll keep an eye on it. I don't disagree. I don't think Desmond's coming out and lighting the world on fire by any means. But it's not necessarily the greatest offensive scheme that we've ever seen.
Yeah, and there's a reason why they signed Taylor Heineke. They're fully prepared to pull the plug on Ritter and throw Heineke in there if need be.
Yeah.
I think their bye week is like week 8 or 9. So,
which that said, I'm taking the Jags. This I think I'm right there with you, Todd. I have no worries about Trevor Lawrence and his ability to be what we think he is, what we know him to be. And that Jags offense is just a couple of weeks away from really, I think, open the top off and becoming what we think they can be.
Yeah. It's funny because you look at that. They've had weeks where they've, like week 1, they threw the ball great, couldn't run the ball to save their lives. Week 2, both were bad. Week 3, Travis Etienne runs for almost 100 yards and has a great game. And, I think, too, for Jacksonville, the duo of Etienne and Tank Bigsby is something you have to start utilizing more frequently, especially when you're slow to throw the ball. Tank Bigsby is a hell of a ball carrier, and I think that it's the rookie ease him into it, but you're getting into a position now where you got to let it rip.
He's not the only ETN duo in this country, Todd.
I know the other one plays for a school down in Gainesville
coming up to Kroger Field on Saturday, aren't they?
I got to talk about it. They are coming to Kroger Field, 12 p.m. on ESPN.
We will watch. Is it 12 p.m. right?
12 p.m.
All right.
Yeah.
For those of you listening and wanting to participate, Tez has the Jags, Josh and Carp. We still need your picks on this game. Bruce, thank you for letting us know that we have a hell of a show. We love you as well.
Thank you, brothers.
Also, Liz, Bruce, there will be no nipples shown on this podcast. This is a family.
I've done it before.
It's true.
That's fine. It's just not.
Let's show too, if memory serves.
Let's let them know what the out is, Bob. What the out? If we're able to raise $200
we're raising money for charity. It's for Parkinson's research.
So Bobby can put his shirt on.
$200. You can send that to any of the 3 of us. You can send it to my gaming page with that tag. That's why you're my least favorite, Bob. Thanks, Bruce. Appreciate it. I know you have a few of those in your life too, so that hurts in a major way. But but no. So Carp, Josh, still need your picks for this one.
Josh gave the Jags.
Yeah, I figured as much.
Josh took the Jags.
Josh came with the Jags. Still, Carp got the Jags as well.
Jags
we're
all jagging off, baby.
I am not going to fade this. The Jacksonville Jaguars in London. I think this is just a cash it bet. So whatever the bet is, just throw it down on there, cash it.
Actually, you know what? This is one that it's like minus 115 right now. Jags money line. This is like one of the easiest bets in the world. It's like minus 115. I'm taking it. Absolutely. I already did.
Yeah.
So
I would cash that all day. But all right, are you guys ready for the 1:00 games?
Yeah. Yes, I am. Yeah.
All right, fair enough. Let's get to it. Tez, without further ado, we're going to start with your LA Rams, formerly the St. Louis Rams, taking on the Indianapolis Colts in Indy. I'll lead this one off.
Mm-hmm.
we've got the Rams on the road at the Colts. This is one of the tougher games of the week, in my opinion. You got Gardner Minshew,
Maybe.
who's done a nice job. Who's done a really nice job. We don't know if we're going to get Anthony Richardson this week. Is Jonathan Taylor back this week?
Oh no, he's on the IR, dude.
One more. Oh, they moved him to IR.
He's on the IR. Yeah,
we won't
see him. They officially moved him to the injured reserve. Yeah, I like the Rams in this one, boys. I'm taking the Rams on the road to come into Indy. I don't think this is an upset in any way, shape, or form. If Anthony Richardson doesn't play, even if he does play, I think Aaron Donald makes it a long day for him. The Bengals, in my opinion, last week, they got lucky. I think the O-line played well. I think they did a really nice job combating Aaron Donald in that defensive line. But I don't think the Colts are at the same level as the Bengals in regards to their offensive line. And I think it's going to be a long day for the Indianapolis Colts. So
lucky in what sense? I'm just curious. Lucky in what sense?
Joe Burrow wasn't 100%.
Okay.
In any way, shape, or form. And the fact that he didn't get hit as much as I thought he was going to, I think the O-line played outstanding.
Yeah, I think they've done that all year.
I think they played maybe lucky isn't the right word, but I was shocked at how well the offensive line protected Joe Burrow because I haven't seen it in the tenure that Joe Burrow's been there.
That's fair.
And that's maybe lucky is the wrong word, but that's kind of where I'm coming from with it because Joe Burrow has been abused since he's been a Bengal because that offensive line hasn't protected him. They did a really nice job on Monday night of taking care of him when he had an injury. If they could protect him like his calf was injured every single game, the Bengals wouldn't lose. I'm just saying. The Bengals wouldn't fucking lose if they protected him the same way they protected him on Monday night.
I just want to let you know what I just want to ask you a question. What do you think like a normal amount of sacks per game to give up is? It's like you're going to get sacked. What's a normal amount to give up per game?
I would say 1, 2 max.
2 max. Joe Burrow is being sacked less than twice per game right now.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like the Bengals offensive line.
So it's not just what my point. It's not just yet. It's not just Monday. He's been sacked 5 times in total this season. Is my point. They're better. I think the O-line is better. I think that just needs to be.
Maybe Tez put it in a better way that I could have manifested because the play calling by McVay was not great in that game.
Yeah, I mean Stafford threw 2 picks and he got sacked 6 times. So I attribute. I'll give my synopsis of the game. So the Bengals gave the Rams several opportunities based on penalties to score, and maybe some of that is play calling, but a lot of their drives were stopped by. Stafford made a lot of bad passes, specifically to Kyron Williams when he was wide open in the flat. That happened 4 times.
They underutilized Kyron Williams in a big way.
Yeah,
that dude is amazing.
So I think that's some of it. The play calling, I mean, from what I saw, so I think some of it is overinflated because the Rams came out and drove so quickly on that first drive that where Atwell scored the touchdown, it gets called back because stepped out of bounds. So I think that perception.
I thought that was a touchdown, by the way.
Yeah. So I think a lot of it more. I think just the Bengals defense applying a lot of pressure, but I think Matt Stafford missed several opportunities in that game to make plays where I think everybody's just expected him to make them, and then he didn't.
He didn't play well, and I think hats off to the defense. Like the Rams offense, let's be clear, like Matt Stafford, they've also played the 49ers.
Scored 24.
And Matt Stafford has been sacked 7 times this season. 6 of them were on Monday night.
Yeah.
So let's just I don't think the Bengals got lucky. I think they just outcoached them. To be honest, I think Zach Taylor outcoached Sean McVay, which isn't something that happens a lot.
That's why I corrected myself. I said maybe lucky was the wrong word.
Yeah, I don't think it was luck. I think it was just preparation and like I think that the Bengals reports were like a 70% Joe Burrow is better than most quarterbacks in this league, and that's how the Bengals felt. And it paid off. But I think I 100% agree with what you were saying on the play calling. I think they can get away with that this week against the Colts. I think similar to what Bobby was saying, The Colts aren't the Bengals. Gardner Minshew, Anthony Richardson, or any combination of the two are not 70% Joe Burrow. I don't think Michael Pittman Jr. is Jamar Chase. I don't think
Michael Pittman Jr. is a
Zach
great
Moss is
receiver in
not
a
Joe
bad
Mixon.
situation.
Zach Moss is not Joe Mixon. I'm sorry, the Colts, the Rams are going to win. They're going to get back to 500.
Todd.
Yeah, I'm taking the Rams here too, fellas. I'm not hedging my bets either on the other direction this game. This isn't a good one for me to fade you boys to try to get a game up because I have zero confidence that.
I assume Aaron's taking the Rams as well.
Let me pull this one up for you.
Yeah, I have zero confidence in what the Colts are doing offensively. It all feels very flash in the pan.
He's taking the Rams.
And look, I think, it shows that Steichen and Minshew have some rapport just based on how he came out and played that game. And Bobby makes a good point. Michael Pittman Jr. 2 or 3 weeks has been a top 10 in yards for receiving. And, last year, I think everybody was super high, myself included. I'm super high on him with Matt Ryan, thinking he's going to be able to get him the ball. And then he sucked. And I think people just credited him.
If you put Michael Pittman Jr. with Pat Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Tua, Josh Allen, or any other top 10 quarterback, Michael Pittman Jr. is an elite receiver in this league.
Yeah, I think he gets more love because he'll be able to get in the end zone. I just think he's they don't get in the end zone that often, and he's best by equation there too. I mean, there's just not a lot of good targets in Indianapolis. I believe they're still only rostering 3 wide receivers as it currently stands. I think they roster more tight ends than wide receivers right now.
I think I would typically agree with that, but I've started to stifle that opinion for wide receivers moving forward due to the case of Allen Robinson. I think Allen Robinson is a guy that I used to think that. I used to think Allen Robinson was like, man, if only he had a good quarterback. He played with Blake Bortles and he played with fucking Mitch Trubisky, and then he goes to the Rams and had to play with Baker Mayfield because Stafford got hurt, and then he goes to the Steelers. Allen Robinson's not that good. I'm ready to say that now. I'm fully
fully
committed.
Dealt him for a 7th round pick.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm fully committed to that. So I'm not necessarily able to, like Chad Johnson was really good with John Kitna. Like there are certain wide receivers to where, like, if they are elite, I was gonna say Larry, but he had fucking Kurt Warner.
Pittman's only been in the league for 3 years.
Yeah, but you should see it. You should see it by now. I wouldn't even call him
quarterbacks, Ben, that should make him elite.
I wouldn't even call him top 10. I wouldn't even say Michael Pittman Jr.
I'm not saying Michael Pittman Jr. is a top 10 receiver. I'm saying that if he had anybody in remotely the realm of Patrick Mahomes or Joe Burrow or Trevor Lawrence or one of these top 10 quarterbacks, that he would be at least
let me give you an analogy. We are ready to say that Garrett Wilson is on the precipice of being a top 10 wide receiver in this league. On the precipice, not there, but on the precipice. His quarterback last year was Zach Wilson.
He would have been top 10 this year, guaranteed, if Aaron Rodgers was quarterback. He will not be a top 25 receiver this year without him.
I don't know that. I'm not ready to say that. But what I do know is that after last season, we were so impressed with what Garrett Wilson was able to do, regardless of who his quarterback was, that we weren't even talking about it. Michael Pittman has not demonstrated that at all. And maybe it's scheme. Maybe there's a little bit of that. Maybe that's the case. But what I am pointing out is that there are guys that currently play in the league with worse quarterbacks that I am ready to take over Michael Pittman Jr. Jahan Dotson. I'd rather have Jahan Dotson.
Okay.
I'd rather have Terry McLaurin.
Yeah, Terry, that's a bad compare. He's already established. He's already on a 2nd contract. He's already made his pay dirt. I'm
looking at worse quarterbacks.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
DJ
Moore.
I'm not bought into that yet.
I'm not bought into DJ Moore at all.
Okay.
Not yet.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I think I can make the same argument that you're making about Michael Pittman Jr. for DJ Moore.
I mean, DJ Moore is
because DJ Moore has been in the league a hell of a lot longer than Michael Pittman Jr. has.
I don't think it's that much longer.
Yeah, it's 3 years. I think so.
It's about
I think
double the time.
Yeah, so I think it's. I don't agree with that. I tend to lean more to the side that I think Michael Pittman Jr. has all of the tangible things, and a lot of what we're talking about. So we're talking about Garrett Wilson because he had 1,000 yards last year as a rookie, right? That's
with a worse quarterback,
right? So that's Mike White, Joe Flacco, and Zach Wilson. Those were the 3 quarterbacks that threw Garrett Wilson the ball last year. Last year, Michael Pittman Jr. had Matt Ryan, who was 37, Sam Ehlinger, Nick Foles, and then somebody else got mixed into that repertoire last year for an offense that averaged less points a game than the Jets.
Prior to that, it was Phillip Rivers.
Yeah.
Year before that, it was Phillip Rivers.
Right. So that was Pittman's rookie year, right? That you're talking about, where it was Phillip Rivers, and he had 800 yards in his rookie year, and then he backtracked in his second year. So my perspective of it is year 3, he's had back-to-back 100-yard weeks and a week of 90 yards and a new offensive scheme, right? So maybe you're right. Maybe your perspective of you can fit Garrett Wilson into any mold, and he's a top 10 wide receiver because he's adaptable.
Yeah.
So maybe I think that there's a way that you could say Michael Pittman Jr. based on having
system wide receiver.
Yeah, he's one of the best system wide receivers, and that could put him in a top 10, top 15 conversation.
Sure.
So I think both perspectives have their own right and wrong, but I think we're kind of comparing apples and potatoes at this point. Nobody's going to agree with one another.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and move on here. We're about 40 minutes.
Yeah, but that's good radio.
Three games. We have one lone wolf for the last game, Rams at the Colts. We've got Ryan Carpenter, a lone wolf, taking the Colts over the Rams. So Ryan, best of luck to you, brother. Next game, we got another. We got a divisional game, second divisional game. This matchup here. I've got the Baltimore Ravens headed to Cleveland to take on the Browns. Todd, who you got?
Boy, that Browns defense is
legit.
Whoa. I watched the entire Browns and Titans game, and
Myles Garrett is playing on another level now.
I think, you look at the Titans and the Rams are in a very similar scenario. So Tez brought up that the Rams offensive line was beaten up, and that attributes to why the Bengals had 6 sacks. You could argue the same thing in the Super Bowl, and there were a lot of people that didn't sway that way for the Bengals, but I'm not going to go back into that rabbit hole again because it is what it is.
That's
but
already told story.
Yeah. So I think the thing that I've watched from 3 weeks of watching the Browns, I've watched the most inconsistent offense with a grossly overpaid quarterback and the most consistent defense through 3 weeks that I've seen so far. Yeah. And it's crazy because we've watched this team go back and forth and back and forth. We think everything's figured out offensively, and then they're one of the worst run defenses in the league. And then you go out and you think you're getting your quarterback of the future, and he comes out and he just looks soft. I don't know how else to explain. He just looks soft. There's a lot of plays where
there's a sick joke somewhere in there.
There's just a lot of play, and people could say, "Oh, well, he was 27
well played, Corey,
against the Titans." Well, sure, he was 27 for 33, but he was also on the field for.
Also, the Titans suck, guys. They're a bad football team.
Yeah, they're bad.
The fact that they have wins this year is phenomenal. Good for them.
So my point being that I'm more willing to hedge my bet on the Browns defense than I am the Ravens offense in the way that it currently stands, rather than looking at it the other way.
Yeah.
The Browns are at home. I think that plays a big factor into any divisional game. The Ravens are super one-sided. Losing J.K. Dobbins to me it impacts. You
lost your whole offensive edge.
I don't think that. I think losing to the Colts the way they did, not being able to move the ball against them, should show a little bit of concern. But I think this is a very low-scoring game, fellas, and I think we might see about the same number of defensive touchdowns as offensive touchdowns in this game again, similar to the Browns and Steelers game. But I'm taking the Browns here at home.
Corey.
Aaron's taking the Browns as well, and I'm following suit here, guys. And the main reason is for being at home. The crowd's going to be into this when the Browns are on defense, and that's going to make things difficult for Lamar Jackson and the Ravens offense. The same can't be said when the inept Browns offense is on the field. So I'll give the crowd the edge here. Obviously, the Browns are playing a good mode of football after coming off that nice JV scrimmage that they had last week. And the Ravens are kind of limping after and wondering what the fuck is going on after losing to a team that they feel that they absolutely should have beaten. So, I follow the exact same line of thinking as Todd as this one. I'm more confident in the Browns defense than I am in the Ravens offense at this point.
So interesting comment coming up here by Carp. He said, I'm going with the Browns. And hot take here, Chubb's injury was terrible, and I wish that on nobody. We all do. We all wish that on nobody. That's a terrible thing to happen. But then maybe the best thing to happen to the Browns this year is what Carp's saying. So I'd love for you to elaborate on that and why that's the best thing for the Browns.
Yeah, I don't understand
this
that
year.
at all.
I'm not sure I understand that comment.
I think I'll try and take a stab at this. I think what Ryan
Sure.
might be, I think what he might be getting at is that it's forcing the Browns offense to grow. It's forcing the Browns offense to be something that it hasn't had to be in a long time, which is running through the quarterback. And to be honest, even since back and when Baker was playing, with his head was on fire, the offense ran through the ground, or at least it should have been, because that's what set everything else up. This can force further development of a Donovan Peoples-Jones or a David Bell or the use of a David Njoku, and a guy like Amari Cooper, who had probably one of his best seasons out of the last 3-4 years last season with the Browns. This can kind of force their hand and make them into a little bit more of a vertical threat type offense. That said, I don't feel confident in Deshaun Watson's ability to drive the offense in that manner. Yeah. So could it be? Sure. Could it force their hand to be more of a vertical threat, utilizing maybe a Kareem Hunt out of the backfield this week? You're going to probably see a little bit more of him now that he's got a full week under his belt, and he obviously knows the scheme. He's got great pass catching ability and what he can do after reception and things like that. So I. Also, Ryan, to your comment, that's what she said. I don't trust Deshaun.
Ryan's comment, for those of you listening on Spotify and other podcast platforms, hit it perfectly.
Corey. That's what she said.
you just force a quote of yourself? Is that what just happened there? All right.
Yeah. So, but no,
great.
I'm taking the Browns here again, reiterating Todd's point, which was put perfectly. I trust the Browns defense much more than I trust the Ravens offense at this point.
Yeah, so we got all the picks in from the three other people participating.
Yeah.
Anybody in chat that is not participating that wants to participate, please just let us know. So Carp, Josh, and Tez. And myself, we all have the Browns. Where I'm not going to fade you guys this week. I think the Browns are a great pick this week over the Ravens. Myles Garrett, to Josh's point, Myles Garrett is a baller.
Yes,
he's very talented.
Myles
what's
Garrett.
Funny is Bill Cowher before the game gave his top 5 defensive players of this season, and he left Myles Garrett off of that list
just because he was a Brown.
He put Roquan Smith on that list. So. I don't get it.
You can't put Roquan Smith on that list without putting Myles Garrett on that list.
You can't put anybody on that list without on a top 5 defensive players.
It has to be like TJ Watt, Myles Garrett, Micah Parsons. Those are your top 3.
Sauce.
Anybody else after that, I don't care what they are, but those 3 have to be on your list.
What corner are you taking over Sauce right now?
There were no corners. It was 1 linebacker and 4 edge rushers.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
This is like further proof.
He was just really horny at this comparison.
The people that run this country,
1 defensive tackle, 3 edge rushers. That's what it was.
A linebacker.
And he said that linebackers are still valuable in the NFL. And Randy Moss said, Ray Lewis ain't on the field anymore. They don't know it's not. And it's like the perfect thing because
Ray Lewis, Luke Kuechly, and Lawrence Taylor are no longer on the field.
Yeah.
It's just
fun. I like
linebackers don't exist.
Conversation. That's good. That's a good one.
Those are the 3 linebackers. Those are the 3 best linebackers in the history of the game, in my opinion.
Ooh, That's an interesting perspective. I think Luke Kuechly is one of those guys that
Junior
he
Seau.
retired so quickly that I think people don't realize what he was. But if you watched him, you saw. But
Yeah.
they asked Myles Garrett about it after the game, and he was like, "Huh, sounds like he's wrong." And that was the end of it. And he just moved
Yeah.
on. Good for
Yeah.
you, man.
He
That's
is
the
wrong.
right thing to say. Yeah.
Well, that is what it is. We all have the Browns here. Let's go ahead and move on here, gentlemen. Next game we have on the slate, we've got the Minnesota Vikings, who lost a close one last week, taking on the Carolina Panthers in Carolina. Corey, who you got?
I'll go ahead and give you Aaron's pick. He's taking the Vikings over the Panthers. Last week I caught a little bit of the Panthers game when I watched Old Red Rifle looking very beautiful in the Carolina blue and silver. He looked good. Serviceable quarterback. It is Andy Dalton right now. Going on the road in Seattle. Seattle, I think, is one of the best teams in the NFC this season. I'm putting that out there, putting the nuts on the table, but I thought they did okay. They moved the ball. This is a bad Carolina team, guys. There's a reason that you were picking in the top 5. Obviously, they traded up to 1 to go get Bryce, but there's just not a lot working for this team. Coming in with a comment for Ryan here, he says Vikings, or Tez saying Vikings must win for them as well. I think their season's already over, statistically speaking, at 0-3. I think there's something like a 4% chance that they can make the playoffs at this point. But I am going to take the Vikings. I do feel like they are the better team, better quarterback play, more experience. Well, that's not true. I shouldn't say more experience. The head coach got Frank Reich there wearing the headset. But I probably less experience for the Vikings at the head coach standpoint. Yeah. But nonetheless, I feel like that roster is just way more complete coming out of Minnesota. So I am taking the Vikings.
Todd.
Yeah, so most of Andy Dalton's damage was done kind of like in garbage time because he has overly inflated stats based on where they were, and that game, the score of that game doesn't equate to how far they were out of that game, how quickly they were out of the game. So my little stat drop here for the Vikings is they were 11-0 in one possession games last year. They're 0-3.
Yeah,
every game they've lost has been a one possession game this year. For us. 2 times interceptions by Kirk Cousins in the goal line. On those 2. Really, they lost that game against the Chargers based on a goal line interception. It is kind of it's kind of, I guess you can call it a must win. They got to right the ship here at this point in Minnesota. But, Carp's comment says Jefferson goes off. I think that you just got to say again.
Yeah.
At what point? At what point is what constitutes Justin Jefferson?
Does that mean 200 yards?
Is he going to score a touchdown?
Does that mean 15 catches for 270 yards and 3 touchdowns?
Is he going to score? He hasn't scored a touchdown yet.
He hasn't scored a touchdown through 3 weeks.
He has not.
That's the caveat here is that he hasn't.
If you are a betting man, take Justin Jefferson for an anytime touchdown scorer this week. It has to happen this week.
Because in when they played the Eagles, his touchdown got taken away.
Here we go. Let's bring it back, boys. Fade the streak. Justin Jefferson touchdowns. He has not scored a touchdown yet.
Throw your life savings on a
throw it at touchdown. And then guess what? If he doesn't get it, we're going to double down and take it next week. We're going to keep rolling it. Let's go.
My point being that I am taking the Vikings here, fellas. I think there's going to be 2 0-4 teams after this week, and they're going to be one of those 2 0-4 teams.
So Carp becoming in the comment, how long does Jefferson put up 150 a game and losing? I think
he's out of there. He's out of there.
Yeah. So last 3 games that we've taken, last 4 games that we've talked about, we all have the same game with the exception of Carp taking the Colts over the Rams. Everybody else is on the same page. So Carp, Godspeed. All right. Next game's going to hit a little closer to home. We've got the Bengals obviously winning a close Monday night game against the Rams, taking on the Tennessee Titans down there in Tennessee. I will lead this one off, actually.
Are you cold?
No, I'm actually good.
Good.
I've had quite a few brewskis. It's actually kind of warm in here. I got the beer clothes. The beer jacket's on. It's great.
You look great.
Thank you. I've been working on the figure, so it's kind of working out. But anyways, Bengals on the road against Tennessee.
It's 2 thus far, shooter.
What'd you say?
Not talking to Todd. We had a side combo. Continue on.
You had a side bet? What was side bet?
No, nothing. It's okay.
My nipples look like milk duds. You haven't seen them. So, Carb, get the fuck out of here. Anyways,
would you rather have milk dud nipples or pepperoni nips? What would you rather have?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Like, because like milk duds are like really tiny.
They're dark.
And they're dark.
And they're dark.
Would you rather have darkies or biggies? That's a question.
I guess I would rather have. I guess I would rather have pepperoni nips. To be honest, like
I think I'm going duds, bro.
Yeah,
I'll
take duds.
Disproportionately sized nips are. You have large areolas. It's a tough game, man.
Yeah. You're ridiculed.
We're talking Bengals Titans here, not my nips. Let's get out of this conversation.
Well, we're just talking about nips in general. We're not
speaking about life here, Bob. I mean, at the end of the day,
indirectly, we were talking about the size of my nipples, and I don't like it.
It's a podcast about life. Is what it really is.
We've got the Cincinnati Bengals on the road in Tennessee. I'm taking the Cincinnati Bengals here, boys. The Bengals defense. I will take that 10 days out of 10 over anything that I've seen out of the Cincinnati offense. The Cincinnati offense right now, I don't really trust a whole lot, to be honest with you. And that's mainly based off of Joe Burrow not being 100%. And we clearly saw that on Monday night. And this is kind of a quick turnaround. It's 6 days. It's on Sunday. He's not going to have a lot of time to heal that calf, although Jamar Chase really did have a nice game on Monday night. He caught a lot of balls. He made a lot of clutch catches and some clutch moments. The Bengals O-line held up. But I think the Bengals defense is going to finally start showing their true colors and the fact that they're one of the best defenses in the league this week. And it's going to come to fruition against Derrick Henry, against an aged DeAndre Hopkins, and obviously Ryan Tannehill, who's trying to continue to stay in this league. But at the end of the day, I still think the Cincinnati Bengals are a better team than the Tennessee Titans. I've got Cincinnati Bengals here this week on Sunday at 1:00. So, Corey, who you got?
Yeah, I don't think there's an Aaron Donald on the other side of the field. I don't think there's a Witherspoon on the other side of the field. I think this is a coming out party for the Bengals offense. You know, you mentioned that Joe Burrow didn't look great. I thought he looked pretty good, minus a couple of Aaron deep throws. One like 17-yard pass to T. Hig.
You want to say he looked great?
I didn't say that. Run the tape.
That's exactly what you just said.
No, you said he looked pretty good.
I said he looked pretty good.
Okay.
So calm down on those Miller lattes over there. I said he's pretty good. Minus a couple Aaron ball throws down the sidelines. He didn't look great down the sidelines. He didn't. I can admit that. Those were bad throws. That said, minus like a 17-yard drop by T. Higgins right over the middle. I think he had 2 drops, if I'm not mistaken, did T. Higgins.
4 drops in the game.
Joe Burrow looked effective in that offense. Also, let's be very clear that the Rams absolutely schemed to take away any deep shots that the Bengals had. They fired them off when they had them. That was what they had in front of them, was the underneath routes. I thought Joe Burrow did a really good job of taking care of the football, other than a amazing play by Witherspoon reaching over Tyler Boyd, grabbing the ball and rolling over him with the interception. That was just absolutely an amazing play.
So a couple comments rolling in here. Carb coming in saying Bengals. I'd like to see the Bengals take some deep shots early. I know that you guys had just mentioned that. And then we had British coming in here with another comment saying Bengals, but Chase cannot be the only one able to catch the ball. Higgins has to get together if he wants to command the contract that he is trying to receive.
Sure, I think T. Higgins absolutely has to play better. He hasn't played very well 2 out of the 3 games this season. Mm-hmm. That being said, the one game he did play well, he scored 2 touchdowns. So 2 touchdowns through 3 games on average, he's doing okay. And that's what you really have T. Higgins for. He's not going to be your rack 'em up yards guy. I don't think he's your touchdown scorer when you get in tight. Jamar Chase is your yards guy. Jamar Chase is the guy that the offense is going to run through. And you saw
He's
the
going to
Bengals
move the chains.
Absolutely. He had 140 yards on Monday night.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly what the Bengals are going to try and do and get Jamar Chase the ball as often as possible. Also, Joe Mixon continuing to demonstrate that he needs to continue to be part of this offense. He had a great game as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think somewhere around 79, 80 yards and a touchdown did Joe Mixon, average somewhere between about 4 yards a carry. Good night. A very good night for the Bengals offense. The offensive line kept Joe upright, minus 2 sacks by one of the greatest defenders of all time, and Aaron Donald. You're okay with that. You can live with that. If Joe Burrow only gets sacked twice against the Titans, the Bengals win again. For the defensive side, I don't see how the Titans score more than 20 points. I just don't see it. I don't see how that happens. And I think the Bengals can score more than 20 against this Titans defense. So taking the Bengals, starting a nice little win streak headed towards the bye here, just mere 3 weeks away.
All right, Todd.
Yeah, so 8 different receivers caught passes on Monday night. So I'm just gonna lay that in there just as a foundation of kind of like just being able to move the ball around.
Couple comments coming in
We're
here.
just stick around for that because I got a hot take on the Bears. She is a Chicago native and a Bears fan, so similar to Rob. Yeah, so 8 different receivers. 7 tackles for loss, 6 sacks in that game. 2 of those 7 tackles for loss coming from Dax Hill and a sack.
I was just gonna say, what about Dax Hill, man?
Yeah, big game for him.
I will say that when I was watching that game, the fact like seeing Dax Hill and the way that he played, I was seriously impressed.
He flies
with how well he played.
Fast. Yeah, he flies
on Monday night. Like he was just such a ball hawk. He was all over everything, and it was just one of those, it's just one of those things you hate to see out of somebody that went to Michigan. You know what I mean?
But yeah, I think DJ Turner getting some time out there is huge for him as well.
Yeah. So, Dax Hill to me is, other than Logan Wilson, has been the most consistent player on defense for the Bengals to start the year, which is good because I think you look at the other side of that on the safety, and Nick Scott's kind of been the biggest question mark for me as an overall player on defense. But fellas,
shut up, Ryan.
I watched the Titans and I watched the Bengals, and I think Corey said it in a little bit more brash way, but I'm going to say it in an eloquent way. They can't move the fucking football to save their lives.
Yeah,
they can't. They can't. I've watched them 2 or 3 weeks. They can't move the ball. Even the game that they won in overtime against the Chargers, there were several gifts provided to them in that game. I think the Titans are in a similar situation to the Rams in terms of offensive line with injuries. Skoronski likely not to play again, missing 3 of the first 4 games of the year. That's your first round pick. Andre Dillard was absolutely manhandled by Myles Garrett on Sunday. I've watched a lot of football, and I've never watched a left tackle get beat more than half the time in a game by one player, and it happened. I really don't think the Bengals have to put together a ton of big offensive drives because I think they're going to get the ball in good field position often in this game. There will be a lot of McPherson back on the field again. I'm saying that solely based on I haven't seen the Bengals, other than 2 touchdowns to Higgins, put the ball in the end zone consistently, and he's been good. And
so I'd also just add one thing I would look out for is chunk plays. The Bengals seem to be giving up a lot of those on Monday night against the Rams. Now, mind you, Matthew Stafford is a much higher echelon player than that of Ryan Tannehill, but so he can exploit those opportunities a little bit more is what I'm getting at. But we'll look for that because you do have guys that can Traylon Burks and DeAndre Hopkins. They can get the chunk plays. If you don't tackle, obviously Derrick Henry can do those things as well. But the Bengals over the last 3 meetings with the Titans have done a really good job of shutting down the Titans offense.
Yeah, DJ Reader and BJ Hill are DJ Reader's a top 10
Sam Hubbard
run defender. Yeah, and BJ Hill a top 15. Sam Hubbard's a good run defender. Michael Carter's a good run defender.
Sam Hubbard, I believe, is top 5 from a defensive end standpoint in stopping the run.
Yeah, so I think that I don't foresee the Bengals having to do a ton of I don't think there has to be some crazy precedent set on offense here, fellas.
Yeah, I don't either.
You run the same play and you ran on Monday, and then you make it work for you. I don't think you have to throw the ball deep a bunch of times against.
I don't either.
You have to do you don't have to change anything. They made the necessary change going from week 2 to 3, and that was moving Jamar Chase around the field. That worked. Do it until somebody tells you that you can't, and it's a recipe for success.
Yeah,
absolutely. So Corey, Aaron, he had the Bengals here. Is that right?
Let me take a gander here. I think he did. He is taking the Bengals over the Titans.
So we need Josh and Tez to comment here. Let me know if you have anybody other than the Bengals.
I think Tez took the Titans, if I'm not mistaken.
He did. He said that the Titans would.
Tez took
the better than the Rams on defense, and that would be the reason.
And they would run the ball.
Yeah,
I mean,
Derrick Henry can do it.
That. All right, perfect. So Corey, I'm gonna pass to you here on this next one here.
Cool.
We got the Buccaneers on the road in New Orleans. Obviously, a couple of close games last week. Give me your take.
Yeah, no Derek Carr. I don't feel really good about Jameis Winston. That being said, I didn't really like what I saw of the Buccaneers on Monday night. It was bad. It was really bad. Now they were at home, but they were going against the Eagles. Eagles are likely one of the best teams in the NFL this season. That roster is very, very deep. This is a bit of a coin flip for me, as I think most of these matchups are going to be.
Yeah,
in this division
too. Here, I think really.
Right. So you had the Falcons that were 2-0 going into the week. I think you had the Buccaneers were 2-0 going into the week, and you had the Saints that were 2-0 going into the week. All of those teams lost, and so now everyone's 2-1. Obviously, the Panthers are the only team left out of that mix, but this is a tough one. I think based on who's going to be playing quarterback, I am going to go ahead and take the Buccaneers on this one.
Snap. So Carp also said that he has the Buccaneers in this one. Tez coming in with a comment saying that this is a tough one. This is a tough game to choose, guys, and I agree. I think this is a tight one. Todd,
Aaron's taking the Saints, by the way.
Aaron is taking the Saints. Okay, Todd, who do you have?
Yeah, Phil.
This is one game this week where, like, if you take either team, I'm not mad at your pick.
Yeah,
I think this literally could go. This is like the Packers game last week, where the Packers Saints last week, where it could go either way. And I'm not mad at you for either pick. So
I think we're going to find that most of the Saints matchups are going to be that way this season, because I don't think we really know who they are.
That's true. That's a
good
point.
And the Buccaneers. Same with the Buccaneers.
Yeah. Alvin Kamara's back this week. I think that means a little bit to the offense.
Nathan coming in with that comment.
It does something. It at least provides. It gives Kendre Miller some relief, right? Because I think that he had to take a lot of the workload on this week, and as a rookie, I think, and as a rookie that you don't expect to start, that's a challenge in itself. I guess I'll fade maybe just one person this week, and I'll take the Saints at home solely because they're going to be at home. I don't think that Jameis Winston is a better quarterback than Baker Mayfield. I would normally say I'll take the better quarterback in this scenario, but I do think the Saints have a better defense than the Bucs do. And I think the Saints defense will keep them in this game much better than the Bucs defense will keep them in this game.
Yeah.
So I know last week I said that I was going to fade Todd and his picks, and I know that when Todd was texting us in the group chat, he literally told me to fuck myself after listening to 10 minutes of the podcast.
Well, I didn't say that
because that's basically what you said.
Well, you said like, literally, Bobby. Do you know what literally means?
Literally means I said it.
I get it. It was basically that, though.
I just said, how dare you, mostly.
Yeah.
Just like,
well, either way, I love you regardless.
What's your point, Bobby?
I'm also gonna take the Saints this week. I'm not fading Todd this week. I'm actually gonna roll with Todd this week on the Saints. Reason being, Alvin Kamara is back. I think Jameis Winston with an Alvin Kamara is just as good as Derek Carr with an Alvin Kamara. So, And Ryan, you're gosh darn right. I could cut glass with these bitches. It's they're also known as diamond cutters. Anyways, the only person we're waiting on picks is Josh.
Earl getting in. Earl getting in with the comments here. Big
Just
dog.
ask Bobby how fantasy football is going for him. I have my shirt off, Earl, so that's about it. That's about as good as it's going right now. So, I'm 0-3 in the league that I created for my gaming page.
Yeah.
I also have the most points scored against me in a standard league, and I'm literally 20 points shy of having 500 points scored on me through 3 weeks in a standard league.
Yuck.
So if anybody knows how standard league scoring works, 500 points through 3 weeks shouldn't happen, and I'm 20 points shy of it.
Sounds
So
like you're losing by
It's
a lot.
bananas. It's bananas.
so I am getting my fucking shit kicked in every week by teams that are just going bananas.
Mm-hmm.
So
Are we
that's
betting
just-
pants this week, Bob?
that's just I am not betting pants this week. I mean, I guess I could because I don't really show like anything.
You do like
below
pasties
like
or
that.
something.
That would be sick.
What's the biggest spread this week? The biggest sure thing.
If
I
I,
don't know. I thought you were gonna
if
say,
I
like,
lose in
biggest
all 3
pasties you can
fantasy
get.
leagues this week, I will
We
do the
talking-
next stream without a shirt or without pants.
We talking pepperoni pasties or milk dud pasties?
No, I'm just talking without.
Eagles Commanders. Or San Fran Cardinals.
I'll let you guys call it. I'm not going to.
San Fran Cardinals. That's an easy
You know what
one.
I should have done?
Chiefs
You know what I should have
Jets.
done last week when I made this bet about the Cowboys Cardinals? I should have just thrown like $100 on the Cardinals to win. Because either way,
Just-
I win.
Yeah.
If they lose,
Yeah.
I still win. If they win, then I don't have to do this with my shirt off.
Yeah, really, the
Yeah.
only thing you lost was your shirt. And nobody's complaining. So
And your dignity, but other than that,
Yeah.
it's all there.
doesn't look like that dignity's in any dirt over there.
No.
Yeah.
Nope.
Well, yeah,
It's like that thing
it
is
what
riding
it
high.
Josh, we are still waiting on your pick for the Buccaneers Saints.
Painted on shirt. Who's going to paint that shirt though?
Some lucky man
Josh.
at a Circle K. Hey, guy. Could you
Raji
do me a
down at
favor?
Circle K is going to go ahead and paint that on my chest. All right. Earl asked me, what are my points score? Earl, I know my points scored aren't great, but they're not the lowest, so fuck off.
Earl does love talking shit.
He
I've played in
huge
fantasy sports.
shit
with him. I may
talker.
love to talk some shit.
I'm in the group. This, so we were given the team to take over, Aaron and I, without drafting, and was added to the group chat. And
Thank
Earl
you
is
for
with
doing
it.
that, by the way.
Hey, no problem. Earl is. I took down the #1 team in the league. Shout out to Charlie. Love you. Earl is without a doubt the most frequent shit talker in that
Yes.
group chat,
Yes, always.
without question.
Love
I did
it,
a
love
free
it, though,
fantasy
love it, though.
basketball
I
draft.
I
When
like
I
I
thought we were
like
gonna
that there's
pick fight
shit
at the
talking
end of it.
happening. It's healthy.
Yeah,
All right, well, let's move on. This is probably one of the best games that we're going to watch this week, at least in my opinion. We've got the Miami Dolphins headed north to Buffalo to take on Josh Allen and the Bills. This is a tough game, boys. This is a tough game to pick. I know last year the Dolphins in Buffalo they took care of business and beat Buffalo in a close game. Obviously, the Dolphins' offense has been rolling. The Bills' offense has been kind of suspect through the first 3 weeks of the season. In my personal opinion, this game is not going to come down to defense. It's going to come down to offense. And I like the Dolphins here. I like the Dolphins. I'll go ahead and lead this one off. I am taking Tua. I'm taking Tyreek. I'm taking that crazy duo at running back between Achane and Raheem Mostert. The Dolphins offense, until I see them stopped, I'm not going to bet against them, in my opinion. So I've got the Miami Dolphins here. Corey, I'll let you take it.
Yeah, I was actually pretty impressed with the Bills' offense. They put up 37 on the Commanders last week on the road. They're going on the road again, headed up north. Or excuse me, they're not going there. They're welcoming in. I apologize. The Miami Dolphins, who are without a doubt probably the hottest team in the NFL right now. I think this is going to be a close game. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. It's hard to bet against the Dolphins right now, but that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to take the Bills at home. I think we're starting to see it come together a little bit here. And I think that the Bills are operating at a sense of offense that is consistent, that can be replicated. I don't think we're going to see this coming out of the Dolphins every single week. And I think they're feeling themselves a little bit, as they should. Dropping 70 on anybody in an NFL game, you should feel yourself a little bit. But I think the Bills have something to prove. And I still think that they win this division to the Buffalo Bills. And I think that a big part of that happens on Sunday when they beat the Dolphins at home.
So a couple comments rolling in. Tez saying, wife, Miss Tez, Mrs. Goodwin says, give a oh yeah, and you can put your shirt back on.
Oh, yeah.
That's not how it works, Miss Tez. I love you. I've never met you, but
Such a
I
wholesome
love
thing
you.
to say.
Yeah.
It's not how it works. We have to generate $200 for a charity towards Parkinson's research. Which, if you'd like to donate, I'd be more than appreciative, so I can put my clothes back on and stop being a what do you call
A
it?
whore?
Jezebel.
Please stop at $199.
Did you just say Jezebel?
I
Hold
did.
on. You said Jezebel.
I was trying to be polite.
It's Jezebel.
Jezebel, whatever it is. It's close enough.
Jezebel.
Jezebel.
Yeah.
What'd you say, Jizbel?
He said
I said
Jezebel.
Jezebel, whatever it is. Don't make fun of me, guys.
I'm
It's
gonna
fine.
put on the AT Aliens record here after this.
So Carp's taking the Dolphins. Tez is taking the Dolphins. Earl's coming in saying the Dolphins shut out for not setting the record. Could have put that whole team to make them a part of something special, which I agree.
That's not special.
Nathan saying the Bills are going to take this one, agreeing with Corey. Josh is also taking the Bills. So we've got some division in the chat right now on who's going to take this win. Corey, before we get to Todd, who does Aaron have?
It's a good question. I'm not being a good host here. Of course, he's taking the Dolphins. He was riding Mike McDaniels so hard that he gets free dinners. So
fair enough.
Yeah.
So before we get to you, Tez said, where can she donate at? Post it. So first and foremost, it is beyond words, so we appreciate it. We're going to be donating to Parkinson's research. It's very close to our hearts. Todd, I don't know if you want to elaborate on that, but it's very close to our hearts. It's something that means a lot to us. You can obviously donate directly to me and my gaming page, or you can donate to Rally Tile Sports on our Venmo. Wherever you'd like to donate is completely fine with us.
You can even just show us a receipt of you donating to the Parkinson's Foundation.
Or you can just show us a receipt of you donating to Parkinson's.
Yeah,
that's fine. It's not anything specific that you have to do. We just want to make sure it goes there. So go ahead, Todd.
Yeah. So it's the Great Lakes chapter of the Parkinson's Foundation. It's a organization that I've done some things with over the last couple of years. It's something, Bobby's saying it's close to everyone. It's closest to me. My mom's lived with Parkinson's for the last 12 years, and she's the toughest lady I know. So it's a good cause. It's
Della's a wholesome lady.
Yeah,
we all
good
love
cause.
her to pieces. So
Great Lakes Parkinson's Foundation. You can one of us can put it in the chat or whatever. It doesn't matter. Or you can Venmo us. It doesn't matter. But it's a good organization. They send thank you letters for to us. We did a donation last year. They sent us a thank you letter. It's close.
And I'll give you one for free, Tez.
Beautiful.
Todd, who you got? Dolphins, Bills.
Yeah, did you guys hear Tua doesn't like playing football anymore?
False.
He said that today.
False.
He said it that's not false because he said it in a press conference.
He said this is the most fun that he's had playing football since Alabama.
Yeah. So that's a weird thing to say when you're throwing for 400 yards a game.
He said this is the most fun that he's had playing football since playing at Alabama.
So what I've heard is that he doesn't like playing football. That's what I heard. All right.
Interesting take.
Sounds like a weird thing to say when you're 3-0 and you're going into a divisional matchup. Just seems.
I'm sick of the Mike McDaniel shtick. I'm sick of it.
That's my point. I think the culture that's being created there kind of creates this like.
You know what? Here, sorry, I cut you off.
You did. It's okay.
Ride with it, we're an hour 20 in, and we still got like half the games left. So we're in here for the long haul. So chat, just buckle up
for a drink. Can I? Do you want me to go ahead and finish my?
I'm gonna time out here.
I know. I did.
I'm gonna go ahead and dive this. Todd, I want you to finish your statement, and then we're gonna let this finish with Corey. So Todd, please continue.
I'm taking the bill.
Todd,
taking the bill.
Okay. You're saying something about the culture.
It's all right. I want you to take over.
All right, Corey.
When I see Mike McDaniel's, you know what I see? I see a guy that has never been punched in the face. Ever in his life.
He was the ball boy in Denver. I mean, there's no violence in Denver.
Well, that's just statistically not true, but when you get, it just seems as though someone that has never, he's had no reason to ever have been checked in his life, right? We've all taken a couple of hits to the mouth. We're not douchebags, but you know those guys that just kind of, they act tough and cool and have a lot of swag about them, but yet they've probably never really had to fight for it. I just get that vibe. I don't know enough about him to say that is the case. I just get those feelings that Mike McDaniels is a fraud.
I don't understand that vibe.
Because look at the team. Where is the coaching here? Where is it that we're like, wow, this guy just getting everything out of this roster? Look at the fucking roster. They spent more money in free agency than anyone over the last 3 seasons. They loaded up draft capital and have drafted at the top end of almost every draft for the last 3 seasons. Where is it like, wow, this guy is just out coaching other teams?
So basically what you're saying is the Dolphins are overrated from a coaching perspective.
The Dolphins are a good team. I already said that tonight.
No, I said overrated from a coaching perspective.
Mike McDaniels is not a top half coach in this league yet. He's not.
I strongly disagree with that.
He's how many playoff wins does he have?
It doesn't matter.
What? In what world does that not matter? That is all that matters. Winning in the postseason. That's it.
All right, Grandpa.
What else are we here for? What are we doing?
So to put him in the top half, you're saying that this is his second year. It's hard to
100%. Yes. Sure. All of that. Yes. Exactly. That's part of my point here, Todd, is like what the constant dick sucking that happens in the national media for Mike McDaniels is insane. He has done nothing in this league. He has done nothing in this league at all. Nothing of value. Nothing of value at all. Hasn't happened.
Mike McDaniel right now is getting treated the same way that Mike Tomlin got treated when he first became a coach.
I think didn't Mike Tomlin win a Super Bowl in his second season?
Yeah, but a lot of people accredit that to Bill Cowher's roster.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the big difference is that McDaniel came in without having an owner for a year and a slew of fines for Yachtgate. But
I mean, what are fines in the NFL?
I'm just saying.
I'm just saying here, like Mike Tomlin got shit on because everybody was like, "Oh, that was Bill Cowher's team, and he took over."
And you know what?
To a Super Bowl.
You know what? If Mike McDaniel never has a losing season in the NFL, then he'll be right up there in the top. He'll be a Hall of Famer. He'll be a Hall of Famer at that point, and I'll be ready.
Corey,
I'll be
I'm
ready
just
to
playing
give him this
devil's
spot.
advocate to make some fucking content here, bro.
No, I'm not. Likewise, and I'm not saying that Mike McDaniels can't be one of the best coaches in the league. All I'm saying is, like, can we just pump the brakes a little bit and just let this guy actually do something before we just herald him as in the same breath as Kyle Shanahan? Like, can we chill out a little bit, or Sean McVay?
With McDaniel is the fact that he is extremely likable. I think that's the big appeal, and that's why he's in the media as much as he is, because he is very, 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 very
He's
likable.
small and dorky, and yet he's whimsical and quick-witted.
He used to be a ball boy for the Broncos, and then he's like, you know what, I'm gonna fucking beat your ass by 50 points. Like that's the whole appeal, and I get it, and that's why it's Nathan. Thank you for defending. I'm not even gonna say it. I'll just let it play on the screen here. He says Pittsburgh, but in a different way as most other people that don't like Pittsburgh.
Yeah, that's what he said.
Yeah. Thank you, Corey, for verbalizing that. But yes, Mike Tomlin is one of the best coaches in the NFL, hands down. Doesn't matter who you root for.
Absolutely.
You can't deny it. But that's kind of the same argument that I'm making for Mike McDaniel. I'm not saying that he's there yet. In no way, shape, or form am I saying that he's there yet. But he is on the right path, in my opinion. I really like Mike McDaniel. He's a young coach. He's got a lot of swagger. He's got a great team, and a lot of that is not his doing.
None of that is his doing.
He has been dealt a great hand, and it's just what he does with it. And he's not doing a bad job with the hand that he's been dealt. So that's all that I'm saying.
And you know what? All of the points that you made are true. None of those are accolades as to why he's a good coach. None of those explain to me, like, you know what? He outcoached Sean Payton. No, they're better than them. They are a better team, roster-wise.
So when they beat the Bills last year in a close game in Buffalo, he wasn't a better coach?
He had a part in that. Absolutely. I don't want to take anything away from him. I don't want to take anything away from him.
So what you're saying is he is a good coach, but he's not a great coach in your opinion.
No, he's not. He's not at all. He's not.
Okay.
Because
he has ability.
If we're going to give accolades,
he's not a great coach.
If we're going to give accolades for regular season competency, then Kirk Cousins is one of the greatest quarterbacks in the history of the NFL. If that's what we're going to start doing, they just looked really good in the regular season. If that's what we're going to start doing, that's a very slippery slope. Andy Dalton is one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. If we're going to start talking about everything we've done in the regular season,
Dalton is not that. That is a
just give him time.
Irrelevant argument.
Give him time before we start sucking the dick here. Give it a little time. That's all I'm saying. Let's just calm it down on the Mike McDaniel shit.
I think you're a little aggressive with that argument about Andy Dalton, but that's fine.
MVP candidate.
Okay. Todd, Dolphins, Bills, who you got? Let's move on to the next game.
Whoa, I don't even know. I took the Bills before all of this went down. Nothing's changed since we just had a debate over nothing. So I will still, after that, I will still take the Bills in this.
Okay. All right. So we're actually pretty split here. Myself and Aaron, Carp and Tez have the Dolphins. Josh, Todd, and Corey have the Bills. So that is a complete split on the game. Next game should also be fun. We've got the Denver Broncos, who just got their fucking cheeks clapped by the Dolphins, headed on the road to Chicago to take on Justin Fields and the Bears.
Yeah.
Todd, who do you have? Well, let's leave this one off since you got the last take on the previous game.
I don't know if I can follow up what just happened there. I'm embarrassed to be at the bottom of the screen here. I got nothing of value to add after that. Let's see. What can I say? I'm going to make a real aggressive hot take, and then I'm going to throw my hands up in the air. I'm going to go crazy. Justin Fields is one of the top 10 quarterbacks. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just fucking with you. The Bears are horrible, guys. The Bears are horrible. So let me elaborate.
Are they worse than the Broncos?
Huh?
I said, are they worse than the Broncos?
You know what's crazy is that Matt Eberflus is considered a great coach, and he's going up against Sean Payton. No, we're splitting hairs here. Where did Justin Fields go to college, boys?
Ohio State.
So let me give you a little. I'm going to give you some numbers here because that's what I do. I come
Couple
up
of
with
fun
some
comments
digits
here. Tez said he loves the debates. British saying, Todd, be careful.
Sorry, British.
Nathan coming in saying, let's talk OSU quarterbacks in the NFL. Tez taking the Broncos.
All right. So Ohio State quarterbacks since the year 2000 are 18-47 in the league.
God, that is a terrible record.
Justin Fields is 5-22, boys.
Mm-hmm.
5-22. 26 touchdowns, 24 interceptions.
Garbage.
I'll follow that up with, I think, other than the Steelers, they have the worst play calling offense in the league. Their play calling is abysmal. I mean, Matt Canada gets a lot of shit for calling a Pee Wee football offense. Getsky is right there with Matt Canada in terms of what his playbook looks like. I feel comfortable that I could spend an hour and a half with Getsky and look through the playbook and be like, all right, I understand what you're doing here, and being able to scheme against that. It's insane how there's people just helplessly running around the field, and then they're trying to create a playbook where Justin Fields stands in the pocket and has to throw the ball. It's not what he's built for. Guy ran for 1,000 yards last year, or almost 1,000 yards last year. When they won games, or when they stayed in games last year, is when he had the ability to be mobile and make plays on his feet and roll out of the pocket. And, I think myself included, I got caught up in this thing where I thought them going out and getting DJ Moore and making this trade and having all this money in free agency, it was going to flip the Bears back on the other, back the other direction. And then Aaron made a point before the season started, and I think it's starting to sink in with me, is like, they were the worst team in football last year.
Yeah.
And they haven't won since October. October of last year. They have not won. It's been almost a year since they've won a football game, fellas. And that's not even talking about all the shit that's going on in their coaching staff. I mean,
sure.
that in itself takes a ton of time away from football. It does. From players paying attention to the game rather than paying attention to what's going on in the locker room. With that being said, the Broncos, obviously, I'm not going to go into them getting beat by 50, but boy, what a fucking stinker this game is.
Yeah.
It's a fucking stinker, boys. And people are still paying $100 a ticket for this game. That's crazy. I guess I'm going to take the Broncos just solely based on Sean Payton's a better coach. Russell Wilson historically is a better quarterback. I don't know if he is anymore. But oof.
Yeah.
Yes, we got some discrepancy here. Rob, what is up? What is going on? Mr. Rob Meter, thanks for popping in, baby.
Talking about your Bears, baby.
Yeah, we are talking about the Bears, so perfect time to pop in. Why the fuck is Bob naked? Best comment of the night.
He also doesn't have pants on, just so you guys know.
I also don't have pants on, but I'm not going to stand up. Even if I did, you wouldn't see anything. That's just kind of what it is. I'll let y'all interpret that for what it is.
Sorry to hear that.
But I lost a bet last week saying if the Dallas Cowboys somehow lost to the Arizona Cardinals, that I would do every single stream with my shirt off for the rest of the season.
Also, it wasn't really a bet. You just said that. It
wasn't really a bet. I was just like, you know what? Fuck it. Like, there's no way this happens. Like, I'll just say it. And it happened. So
that beer scandal on last week too.
Look, yeah, no habla, Rob. Sure. Yeah, I wish I could say that too, brother. But okay, so we got some discrepancy here. We got Tez and Todd with the Broncos. We got Josh, aka Cream Puff, taking the Bears.
Carp took the Bears too.
Carp also took the Bears. So we've got 2-2 on this pick. Corey, split us up, man. Who you taking?
Yeah, so Aaron's taking the Broncos. I would just say that prior to this season, and I know we've only got 3 weeks in here, but I was kind of buying in on a little bit on the Broncos. I was zagging when everyone was zigging, if you will, and saying like I feel like the Broncos can take a step this year. I think I was wrong on that one. They're bad. They're a very bad team. That said, I think the Bears are worse. Just based on gut alone, I'm going with the Broncos. No logic can be applied to this matchup whatsoever because these are seemingly two of the worst teams in football right now. So
what is Vance Joseph worse at, being a head coach or a defensive coordinator?
it's a really good question, Todd. We don't really have the answer right now. I would have to say head coach based on the fact that he got the head coaching role based on a good performance as a defensive coordinator. But I don't know.
So here's my logic for this week, boys. The Broncos got absolutely embarrassed last week. I mean, embarrassed. And Sean Payton is a coach that does not get embarrassed without retaliation. And that's the only reason I am taking the Broncos this week, because I just don't see a world in which Sean Payton gets absolutely destroyed by 50 and comes back and loses the next week. I just don't see it. I don't see it.
I'm getting kind of Urban Meyer vibes from him, man.
I am too, but like if the fucking Broncos come back and win this week, I will still have a shed. Like, I mean, the tiniest like shed of respect for Sean Payton.
Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I have nothing to base this on, no factual information. Like, just don't be surprised if you like see Urban Meyer, or excuse me, Sean Payton, like quote unquote under center on some chick at a bar.
Dude, get out of my fucking head. That's what I was going to say. There's going to be pictures of him floating around in Wrigleyville.
Just like
getting a little frisky with Karen at the bar.
Hot route. You know, I just feel it. I don't know why. He just seems kind of
Blue 180.
Just seems like a scumbag. And people are like, "Is that Kevin James?" And be like, "No, it's Sean Payton." And yeah,
that's right. He did the movie. He did the movie where he was Sean Payton.
I don't want to ruin another QB, but I'm going Bears. I do agree, tough days to be a fan, but sticking with them either way.
Well, Caleb Williams did not say that he wouldn't go to the Bears. So he did say he wouldn't go to the Cardinals, though. So you're at least in the running if things go bad.
And why would that be?
Okay, so I want to go ahead and take precedence on this next game and just say that I hope the rest of us are on the same page. We've got the Commanders headed on the road in Philly. We've all got the Eagles, right?
Yeah.
There's no way the Eagles lose this game.
Let me ask you this. The tush push. Should it be made illegal?
No.
Okay. There is just argument going around different talking heads.
There was.
That what the Eagles do with Jalen Hurts is not football. It's a rugby move. The scrum, if you will. That pushing another player into the end zone should be made illegal.
The QB sneak has always been a play, in my opinion. And if at that point it's they're calling it something else, that's not what it is. If the QB sneak is illegal, then just go ahead and cancel football. I mean,
it's not necessarily that standard QB sneak is the argument, though, Bob. It's not like a quarterback just lines up under center and then he just runs behind Jason Kelce. That's not what's happening. They're lining like three people up behind him, and they're all pushing him into the end zone.
Penn British just commented here. I think that's my stance on this.
So he says no, it shouldn't be illegal. Other teams should get better at doing the same thing.
Here's my point. Don't let them get to a and one situation.
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, at that point, like, if it gets to that point where they're that close, then you've already fucked up.
Yeah. Don't let them get to the goal line.
Yep. That's the second point that she made. I agree with it. Just if you're concerned about what they're running on first and 1 or 1st and 2, don't put
if you're concerned with giving up 3 yards to a quarterback on a sneak, then you've already not played defense well.
They said, how do you stop? Like, it's like, how do you stop this play? You headhunt, unfortunately. Like, that's all that's going to stop it.
That shit, you jump over the line and take out the quarterback.
You spear him with your helmet, unfortunately. That's the only way that stops that.
Make it not work.
So, yeah.
I know that I kind of instigated this argument, but we're not even gonna go there.
Come on. Feed us, Daddy.
So the Minka Fitzpatrick hit, and then the hit in the Bengals game, that was and was not called roughing the passer? We talked about it?
Dax Hill's sack versus Minka
Yeah.
Fitzpatrick's sack.
Correct.
Okay. I didn't watch the Minka Fitzpatrick hit, so.
So you haven't seen it.
Mm-mm.
Okay. Todd, did you see both of those hits?
I've seen both of them. Yeah.
So I mean, this is what we're getting to is inconsistent. What it boils down to me, without even having seen the Minka Fitzpatrick hit, Bobby, is inconsistencies in officiating, and I think
So-
it's been everywhere throughout the NFL this
No.
year. Do you know how many false starts were called on Monday night with the Bengals Rams?
And I completely agree with that statement, Corey. I 1000% agree with that statement because both of them, number one, should not have been called penalties. Number two,
You won that game, also, by the way. So
we did
like
win, but here's the thing: like there was a pass interference call that got called later in that drive that should have never been called because of that penalty that happened on a third down, which would have led to a fourth down, which would have led to a punt. So my whole thing behind it is that the inconsistency with officiating has been terrible this year.
oh, you're
It's not a this year thing. It's been a thing that we've talked about year over year. It just doesn't.
You're not going to find anyone more ready to crucify the officials in the NFL than this guy
Hale
right
coming
here.
in the comment, which dirty hit Nick Chubb would like a word. I have
Ooh.
words for that, sir. That was not a dirty hit on Nick Chubb, and I will argue that to the end of time because that is the only way that you're allowed to hit people these days is low.
And the Steelers have
Without
never
getting
been
called for a
involved.
penalty.
The Steelers have never been involved as an organization in a dirty hit that resulted in a knee injury
And that
for
is
a
satire.
divisional foe.
That is
They've
satire.
never been involved. There's
That
never
is
been
satire.
a knee injury of a divisional foe that's happened at the hands of the Steelers. It's never happened.
That is satire. And also that is bullshit. I understand. Okay, so the hit on Carson Palmer was not intentional. It was not intentional. The fact that you are implying that was intentional is bullshit, and that's why I'm saying it's bullshit. Not the fact that he got hurt, because
I didn't say it. I quite literally didn't say that.
But you
Bobby.
implied it. It was 1000% implied.
Sounds like you need a word with your priest. I don't know what to tell you about your conscience, Bobby. I can't control it. Okay.
Tez, thank you. From a person that is not a fan of the AFC North, it was not a dirty hit because the hit was actually above the knee. The shoe got stuck in the ground. Thank you. Yeah, it was just an unfortunate thing that happened, and I even commented the fact that I hated that happened.
I think everybody did. Yeah,
Nobody liked that Nick Chubb got hurt.
Not at all.
Nick Chubb is the best running back in the NFL, in my opinion, hands down. And like the Steelers would not have won that game if he had stayed in that game. Nobody had an answer for Nick Chubb, and nobody has an answer for Nick Chubb.
They did their job. Good job, Steelers. Yeah. Do what they had to do to win, Bobby. That's all I'm saying, dude. They did what they had to do to win.
I'm gonna sit here and try to
Mike
keep a smile
Tomlin
on my
will
face.
not have losing seasons at any cost.
I want to play teams.
The standard is the standard.
That is the Mike Tomlin saying, and I love that you know that. but no, I mean, anybody who's been an athlete, who's been a competitor, knows that you want to play teams at their best, with their best, and beat them at their best. And with Nick Chubb not on the field, we did not win that game with them at their best. And there's no team in the AFC North that could beat Cleveland if Nick Chubb was on the field. That just is what it is, in my opinion. The Bengals got absolutely destroyed. The Ravens would have gotten destroyed. The Steelers would have gotten destroyed with Nick Chubb on the field. In my opinion, Nick Chubb's the best running back in the league. No questions. Yeah, take notes. That's fine. You guys can go ahead and write that down. I said that. Nick Chubb is unbelievable.
It's a very grandiose statement.
Yeah, it is.
I have no problem making it. Nick Chubb.
Okay. I'm just telling you that's a pretty brazen thing to say when they've lost games against teams in the AFC North with Nick Chubb on the field. That's my point.
Also the Bengals.
They've lost to everybody in the AFC North since Nick Chubb has been in Cleveland.
That's fine.
No, I'm just saying that's a fact.
No, and I agree with you, but I just feel that this year was different. Like you literally saw like the entire game prior.
Here's the point. If your ability to win a Super Bowl or compete in the playoffs hinges on whether or not your running back is healthy, you are not going to go very far in the playoffs. You won't.
No, and
running backs don't win Super Bowls. Ask the Rams.
It would eventually, even if Nick Chubb averages 150 yards a game, eventually it would catch up to the Browns that Deshaun Watson is not going to win them a game.
That's what it comes down to. Yeah. It's quarterbacks. That's it, baby. That's it, and that's all, man. It's like an alarm clock. Woo, woo. What's the next game, Bob?
All right, so I got the Eagles over the Commanders, which
we all
never talked about.
I look kind of leading into this. We're not
shockingly enough, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers headed on the road to take on the Houston Texans. In Houston. Todd, I'll let you lead this one off.
Well, taking the Steelers, I am. Because I think that the Texans aren't that great in general. But I am very interested to see what the final score of this game is. And I think this is similar to a game that I said earlier where I feel that there could be more defensive touchdowns and offensive touchdowns in this game. And I actually think that Houston has the better quarterback in this matchup. I do feel that way. Contrary to
Bobby's on fire, dude. He is on fire.
Look, dude, I'm looking at Kenny Pickett's stats right now. He's 62 for 104, less than 700.
So there's a couple comments rolling in here that kind of back up my statements here.
Dude,
so Nathan says we're talking about Brown success. Tess saying lies. RBs can and
running backs don't
win Super Bowls.
No, they don't.
As beast mode.
No, they don't.
Nathan saying they just inducted Joe Thomas into the Hall of Fame, who never played on a winning team in a decade of the NFL.
Yeah, he's commenting on the Browns' success. Yeah, they're a shit organization in general, but
anyways,
they're better now.
Back to the game at hand here.
Can I comment on Tez? Can I comment on the running back thing with Tez?
Sure.
That is an outlier. That's it. That is an outlier. There's nothing else to say to that. Look at the last 20 Super Bowl champions. There's only maybe two or three times that any of their running backs have been in the top 5 in rushing. That's it. It's just not true.
Probably, I think the last time is probably when Jamal Lewis was on the Ravens and they won the Super Bowl.
It's just not. Yeah, it's just statistically false. It's not true. A good running game, yes, is essential to an effective offense. A star running back is proven to actually have been detrimental to most teams in terms of a salary cap. So,
Tez saying the league hasn't always been a passing league. Elway would not have won a Super Bowl.
It is now.
It is
now. That's 17 years ago.
That was over 2 decades ago.
Yeah, that was 1998.
Yeah.
So, I do agree with you guys there. All right.
I love you, Tess. I love you, Tess.
Corey, who do you have? Steelers, Texans.
So, Bobby, you came into the season talking a lot about this Steelers defense, and I bought into it. I'm just not seeing it, man. I'm just not seeing it at all.
What you're watching?
TJ Watt is phenomenal. Minka Fitzpatrick's a good player. I don't have anything else to say yet.
Are you taking the Texans?
I'm not. No, I'm not.
Okay. Then you're done.
This guy. Listen to this guy.
Then you're done. I mean, if you're gonna sit there and talk shit, then you need to take the Texans.
I'm commenting on the Steelers. I'm commenting on the Steelers right now. The Steelers defense needs work. It absolutely needs work.
It does.
And that's the point that I'm trying to make here. The Texans aren't a team that are going to light the world on fire but I think this is a good football game. I think CJ Stroud is absolutely starting to be demonstrate that he belongs in this league. I think he's demonstrating that he so far is clearly the best quarterback that was drafted last season or this last draft. And I think the Texans have the ability to run the football right now, and a nice running back combination that they've got down there. But the Texans have a lot of work to do. I think the Steelers defense will be the best defense on the field that on Sunday. But I don't think that's saying a lot, is the point that I'm getting at. They have a lot of work to do. The Raiders are not a good football team. And up until the end of that game, that looked like it was going to be a battle to me. And I just wasn't impressed is all I'm getting at here. So the Steelers are going to win. It is a very bad football team that they're going to win. They're going to win a game that they should win against. They've got the coaching advantage, and that's what I'm chalking this up to here. Is that Mike Tomlin's going to have his team more ready to go?
Sure. Does Aaron have the Steelers as well?
Yes, he does.
Okay. Perfect. I think the only pick we're missing here is Carp. I'm also taking the Steelers here. It's the Texans. They should beat the Steelers, as Corey had mentioned. I think this is a game they should win. Although I have been seriously impressed with CJ Stroud this season. Corey, you called it. He has been, by and large, the best rookie quarterback that has taken the field this year. No question.
Limited sample size for sure. Obviously,
yeah.
we're
3 weeks into the season, but through 3 games, he has been the best.
And to Nathan's comment in the chat, he's saying Jalen or Najee. Nathan, I've been very vocal about the fact that I think Jalen Warren's a better running back.
Yeah. Corey even was very profound about that last week, saying that Najee Harris,
Aaron as well, give him credit.
Yeah, and Aaron as well was saying that he was another. What was his name? Who was the
Trent Richardson?
Trent Richardson. Thank you. He was another Trent Richardson in the NFL. So,
I don't necessarily agree with that comparison, just based on Najee didn't really have the hype that Trent did. Trent's a Heisman Trophy winner, so the hype isn't necessarily there. I'm pulling up just rushing stats right now. I want to this is for the regular season. Najee 139 yards on 35 carries. And Jalen Warren on 17 carries has 55 yards. They both have scored 0 touchdowns. So,
all right, perfect. So we got 5 games left. We're about 2 hours in, so let's see if we can try to speed this up a little bit, but let's still continue. Just have a great show, boys. This has been fun. All right. So we got the Raiders taking things on the road. Out to LA to take on the Chargers.
Chargers on the road too here. Don't forget.
Yeah, I guess everybody's on the road at this point. Who wants to take this one?
I'm taking the Chargers. That Justin Herbert figured it out last week, huh?
I think the offense looked a lot better. The Vikings are a bad defense. Let's be clear about that. But that being said, Jimmy Garoppolo is still in concussion protocol, if I'm not mistaken. So I just feel better about what the Chargers are throwing out there. Vegas has this as a -5.5 spread. I think that's probably about accurate. I would probably take the Chargers -5.5. Even with Mike Williams out, I feel like the Chargers did a good job in addressing the wide receiver. Yeah, out for the season. I think the Chargers did a really good job at addressing the wide receiver position in the offseason with I'm sorry, Jordan Addison, I believe, is the guy. Quentin Johnson, I'm sorry. Yeah, sorry. Wrong rookie. Quentin Johnson out of Texas Christian University. And I think that you're going to start to see why they took him where they took him. And he's going to be a guy that's going to be pretty effective in this offense with Keenan Allen. And whether or not we get Eckler back, I'm not sure. Todd, have you heard anything on Austin Eckler yet?
He didn't practice today.
Didn't practice today. That doesn't mean that he's not going to play on Sunday, but it's trending in that direction. But yeah, in terms of quarterback play, I got to go with the Chargers here.
Yeah. Raiders defense sucks too. Almost equally as bad as the Vikings defense.
So,
yes.
Corey, you are also taking the Chargers?
I am. I'm going to assume Aaron did the same, but let me just confirm. Aaron is also taking the Chargers.
This is one I almost want to fade, but I don't.
I wouldn't. If I were to steer
This
you,
is such a close game, man. I'm not going to, but I want to.
Divisional game.
I'm gonna take the Chargers here. I'm not gonna go against the grain here. I think this game is too close to call, and I'd rather be with you guys than against you in this one. I don't think this is a game that, especially considering I went against the Chargers last week and they won. I'm not going to go against the grain there and say that they're not going to pull this off. So
this is a game they absolutely win.
It has to be.
Like they don't beat teams that are better, like are equal or better than them, but they beat teams that are. They're like.
I'm gonna go ahead and chalk Carp up for the Chargers too. So
they're like a lesser version of the Bills, right? They beat teams that they should absolutely beat, and they just don't beat teams that they are equal or
Right.
like that are better than them. You know what I mean?
So here's the fun part. We have the Cardinals taking things on the road to San Francisco.
Yeah.
Here's what I said last week. One of the best teams in the NFC taking things against the Cardinals. And this is the reason why I have my shirt off. Cardinals, I mean, I'm taking the 49ers here. There's no shot.
Yeah, it's the simple rule of attrition in this point. Like, you just don't bet on the Cardinals all season. If the
Cardinals beat the 49ers, I will put my shirt back on.
If you bet against the Cardinals every single time this season, you're going to be right more often than you're going to be wrong. I'm going to continue to do that. I'm going to take the 49ers.
Yeah, everybody's taking the 49ers here. I'm not even going to fucking...
Aaron is also taking the 49ers.
Todd, you got anything to add?
Well, you picked for me, so now I'm good. I got nothing. You took the words right out of my mouth.
Okay. So next game we have the Patriots headed down to Dallas to take on the Cowboys. Todd, I'll let you lead it off.
Thank you so much. This game is
so pleased.
This game is in Dallas, right?
Yes, it is.
That'd make a difference. The Cowboys are bouncing back and winning here, fellas. I cannot foresee somehow this Dallas defense giving up more than 30 points 2 weeks in a row. I just don't. And I don't think the Patriots have scored more than 17, right, this year. I think that's the most they've scored so far.
Yeah, I don't see a whole lot of options on that Patriots offense. Obviously, with Diggs
20 in week 1.
With Diggs being out for the season, I think that obviously has hampered the Cowboys a little bit. But I think they're back. I think they're back to where they're going to be, and I think the Cowboys take this one.
Yeah, I don't see them having too many issues. I think Trayvon Diggs, obviously, in terms of just pure takeaways, is a big loss, but I've seen a lot of people value him as like a top 5 cornerback, and I don't think he's there.
I'm with you on that one. I think he gets toasted a lot. He goes for the big play, and sometimes that ends up burning him.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, anybody loves a guy that grabs 5 to 7 interceptions a year, but the dude also gives up almost 100 yards a game in a one-on-one matchup.
Yeah.
I don't think that it's ironic. I guess it's a coincidence more that they ended up losing the week that he gets injured to the Cardinals. But I don't think Trayvon Diggs is stopping Rondale Moore in a 54-yard run. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think he's making that play any different. So that's a total fluke. That's just that's football.
Well, we've got the opening here, Todd. Saturday, there's a game in Lexington, Kentucky. Florida is the underdog.
They are right now, yeah.
Kentucky -2. I took Florida money line. I feel like that's a good bet.
Yeah, that's a safe bet. I think that if you're looking at – so I've watched 3 of 4 weeks of Kentucky play, and so historically Kentucky's they've always been in games with ranked opponents based solely on having good edge rushing or a good linebacker core. And
they had Bud Dupree.
Yeah, they've had several other players drafted.
Josh Allen,
yeah. So they don't have that this year, man. That's a big gap And a lot of people compared Devin Leary to Will Levis in terms of like his overall production. And I just don't – I don't know if I like that comparison as saying that he's an equally productive quarterback or as a productive quarterback as a whole. I think this will right the ship in the overall Florida UK matchup.
Yeah, you guys 2 in a row, I think. Is that accurate? Yeah, 2 in a row for the Wildcats.
Last year.
Yeah. So,
all right, boys, you ready to get into it? We got 2 games left.
Let's go.
We've got the Kansas City Chiefs, which at the beginning of the season we would have all thought would have been a much better game. Okay, the Chiefs headed on the road to New York, take on the Jets. Corey, who you got? Or who does Aaron have? Let's start off with that.
Aaron is taking
Boy, I hope he took
the Kansas City Chiefs.
And who do you have, Corey?
I also have the Kansas City Swifts.
Kansas City. Are we starting this shit right now?
No.
It's me. Hi. I'm the problem. It's me. What? Do we have bad blood? What? Come on, guys. Come on. It's been a cruel summer. Let's just start fall off on the right foot. Okay.
This is where I depart.
All right, hold on. Before we get pissed off, when you think of Tim McGraw, will you think of me?
I knew you were trouble when you walked in.
Yeah, we're back, baby. Nicely done, Todd.
Thank you.
Nicely done.
Thank you.
She's a songbird of a generation. You will treat her accordingly.
I was so young when I first saw you.
Oh, God damn it. There he is. Yes. She's a songbird of a generation.
Well, I hope this accrues a following for us similar to what it did for Travis Kelce.
383,000
more Instagram followers.
God,
good for
bless
him.
America.
Good
New
for
Heights,
him.
the #1 podcast on Apple in the whole world.
And he's banging Taylor Swift.
Allegedly.
And he's getting the
Why do you think I went to the mustache?
All right now.
Should I just shave the rest of it and just go with the mustache?
Come on, Todd.
Hey, fuck.
I'm gonna mustache to get into that.
All right, so we got the Chiefs on the road, taking on New York. Todd, do you have anything other than Taylor Swift news to talk about?
Yeah, taking the Chiefs.
I picked up Sky Moore on my fantasy league. I had Mike Williams. He went out. Obviously, is on the IR. So Sky Moore has been a relatively consistent production from fantasy point of view. So if you're looking for a little bench depth at the wide receiver position, that was somebody I was able to scoop up on waivers this week.
Okay, fair enough. I also have the Chiefs this week. The Jets without Aaron Rodgers are pointless, and that's pretty much all that I have to add. So, all right. Well, let's get into it. Last game of the week, Monday night. We've got the Seattle Seahawks taking things on the road. Also to the East Coast, taking on the Giants without Saquon Barkley. It's just, I don't know. I don't know if I like this Monday night game, boys.
No, I don't. I think this is going to be a fucking
snooze fest.
Yeah, they're going to beat the shit out of them.
I mean, Corey, go ahead. Who you got?
No, I think the Seahawks, again, I've said it. This is the third time I've said it tonight. They are one of the best teams in the NFC. I understand that the NFC is not. That said, as we're looking at the AFC now, I think there's a lot more opportunity in the AFC than we thought there was, at least coming into the season after having watched 3 weeks. I think the NFC. I think there's a lot of opportunity in the NFC as well. Up until Monday night, the Eagles offense didn't really look like the Eagles offense. They got off the schneid against the Buccaneers, but the Cowboys looked great, but then they didn't. They got beat. The Niners, you're like wondering what's going on with them. The Seahawks, they're right there in the mix. I think that they absolutely they can win that division, in my opinion. Absolutely could. So yeah, I think the Daniel Jones, Darren Waller led Giants, Seahawks roll.
Okay, fair enough. Todd.
Couldn't have said it better myself. It's rough, man. I'm looking at offensive stats for the Giants here, fellas, and boy, they paid Daniel Jones a lot of money.
Yeah. What the fuck?
That's a critical error. I think for most of us, if we make a decision like that at the workplace, we get terminated for those kinds of decisions.
Indeed, we do. Yeah.
But I'm looking at
We're not allowed to live with those.
Seahawks schedule here. They actually don't have to. They don't play the Niners until week 12.
Holy shit.
Yeah, so they play. Right? Am I reading that right?
I don't know. I can't read yet. I haven't learned.
It's they play in week 12 and then again in week 14. Little bundle action there.
God damn it.
Yeah. So I'm taking the Seahawks here.
Sorry, Corey.
Aaron is also taking the Seahawks for what it's worth.
We all have the Seahawks on Monday night. There's no reason to go against the grain there. If Saquon Barkley was on the field, then maybe. But I just don't trust Daniel Jones. He's not a $40 million a year quarterback, and for some reason the Giants think that he is, and I think that's complete blasphemy.
45 million, right?
Well, it's above 40, so it's close enough. But yeah, I think that's absolutely ridiculous. I think Geno Smith is a much better athlete. I think the Seahawks have a much better team. Offensively, they are way better, especially from a receiving core perspective. I think their receiving core is top 10 in the NFL as far as the collective that they have there. Defensively, they're better. So, yes, there's no way the Seahawks should lose this game. So, gentlemen, this is a podcast.
4, 5. Hey, Bobby, I just wanted to. I know you got a little hypey at me when I was commenting on the Steelers' defense.
Yeah,
you got a little upset. They've given up the 5th most points in the league. I'm just saying. I'm just putting it out. Excuse me, 5th most yards in the league. Not 5th most points, but they've given up the 5th most yards in the league on defense. I'm just calling a spade, man. That's all. There's a lot of football left.
What's the record?
There's a lot of football left. The record is what it is.
What's
the record? Is what it is.
Oh,
they have one more. They have one more win, Bobby. They haven't even played each other.
That's such a weak ass cop out. I hate when people do that. Come on.
What's their record? So I'm just saying. We're just talking about the defense. I bought into what you were selling. Your snake oil that you were selling to me, and that the Steelers were a top tier defense. I just haven't seen it yet. And not saying that they can't.
I still believe that.
I'm not. They're bottom half in yards and in points. That's all I'm saying. Right now, early in the season.
Yeah, we're 3 games
early in the season.
I still think the Bengals are one of the top 3 defenses in the league.
I'm with you.
So
I'm with you.
It's not. It has nothing to do with names or titles or logos. It's just what talent's on the field. I still think the Bengals have the ability to get to where they need to be and win the Super Bowl this year. Joe Burrow needs to get healthy. That defense needs to play the same way they did last week.
It all hinges on what you just said, JB9 being healthy. That's what it all hinges on.
He needs to be healthy. So, there's a lot of factors that play into teams playing as well as they need to play in order to compete. And there's a lot of star players that impact that as well. So, but I think the Steelers have all of their right guys healthy in order to do that. And I don't think the Bengals have that right now. They obviously don't. So
on defense,
you don't think not having Cam Hayward makes a big difference?
Well, I was just meaning in regards to Joe Burrow.
Yeah, I think
obviously Cam Hayward is a huge impact for the Steelers, but I think Joe Burrow impacts the Bengals way more than Cam Hayward impacts the Bengals.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That was kind of where I was getting at with that. I didn't mean it that way, but yeah, Cam Hayward not being on the field for the Steelers is a huge impact.
Tez with an interesting comment. He says he's taking the healthy Chiefs team over a healthy Bengals team all day. That's interesting, is the Chiefs have beat them one time out of 4 matchups. So
Tez, I agree with the Bengals fans here. And until the stats prove me wrong, I'm taking the fucking Bengals over a healthy Chiefs team. So
if the Bengals
is
are fully healthy,
the record is 3-1.
fully healthy. If they're fully healthy, I think I don't think you're coming in with the same clouded mind that you're coming in right now, just based on the way that they've played. I just yeah. Also, the Bieniemy loss for the Chiefs, I don't think is as impactful because he was never a play caller for the Chiefs. Andy Reid calls every play.
Nathan says, "If you know, you know."
I don't think that's as big of a loss for the Chiefs offense. I don't. Andy Reid is that offense. He's been the offense for every team that he's ever been at.
Yeah, 4th winningest coach of all time now. From that.
Yeah. Landry, did he take over? Who?
I mean,
yeah,
let's not
Tom
get
Landry.
mistaken. Andy Reid. He also coached one of the greatest Eagles teams of all time.
One of the greatest Packers coaches of all time. Obviously, coordinator.
This man had Donovan McNabb. He had Brian Westbrook. Like he had that entire Eagles team that all of us grew up.
Terrell Owens
and loving T.O. obviously.
T.O.'s on the team.
Yeah. Just
Deshaun Jackson, rookie of the year.
Deshaun Jackson. Yeah. Yeah. Andy Reid has been a phenomenal coach, and he's obviously got another fantastic quarterback to do that with. And also a pretty good tight end. I don't know if you know his name, but he's there.
Travis Swift.
Yeah,
have you seen the stuff going around about it's like a picture of DeAndre Swift standing next to Jason Kelsey, and it's like you mean
best
to tell me
duo of all time
that these two are fucking right now? You mean to tell me that?
I did see that. That was pretty funny. Tez saying I'm taking Mahomes over Burrow, better QB. Like you said,
I'll
Super
take
Bowls,
the field.
right?
I'll take the field. If you want to take the Chiefs, I'll take the field. You take the Chiefs. I'll take every other team in the league. Loser pays $100 to the other person's charity of choice.
That sounds like a challenge.
I'll take that all day.
I will let you know that I know what a challenge sounds like because I am sitting here with a shirt off.
Yeah.
Good choice.
Tess saying even a healthy Burrow, Mahomes is the better quarterback.
Well, he's only beaten him one time. So
he's only beaten him one
actually,
time. But that
the only
one
time he beat him, he wasn't healthy. Actually, the only time he beat him, Mahomes wasn't healthy.
Mahomes wasn't healthy, or Burrow wasn't healthy.
Mahomes wasn't, but neither was the Bengals offensive line. But we don't like to talk about that.
Sounds like semantics, boys. Sounds like semantics.
All right. Okay.
Just playing devil's advocate here. 2 rings, 0 is what Tez says.
Hey, I'm no argument here that Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the league. You will never hear me say otherwise until it's proven otherwise. I haven't ever said that at all.
All right. Chat. We love you guys. It is almost 11 o'clock on a Wednesday.
3-1.
That is a podcast. We will see you guys next week. Please make sure you come in as hot as you came in this week. We love you, and we will catch you guys then. Deuces for me. Does anybody have anything else?
Yeah, Tez Houday, not the Rams. Have a good night.
Peace.
See you guys.